Welcome to the AI Tech Salon. Today we have Ray Fernando and Ronald Mannak. How's it going, Ronald?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Today we have a really awesome episode for you, and today we're going to cover a little bit of things that have been happening in the news as far as like OpenAI with ChatGPT and some new releases as far as like what you should be aware about. And the main topic that we're going to cover today is like what AI tools that you should be aware of to help you as an independent developer. There's a lot of stuff that's going on and flying by in the news, and sometimes it can get a little overwhelming as far as like what things you should be paying attention to. And so, with Ronald, myself, we're doing like independent development, and there's just a lot of things going on. So who are we and why should you even be paying attention? My name is Ray Fernando, and I used to be an engineer at Apple for 12 years. And so now I'm on my own exploring, and I had to work on a lot of the low level stuff to the high level things and been behind the scenes and a lot of really cool stuff going on at Apple. And now get to play around with AI and kind of learn with you and share any knowledge that we've been going through. And my host, Ronald, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself here.
Sure, yeah, thank you. So I'm an indie developer. I have an app in the App Store called Pico, P-I-C-O. If you search for Pico space GPT, you'll find it. It's a very neat LLM front end. And I have a bunch of open source tools for AI and Swift, because that's one area where there's just not a lot of love yet. So I'm working and trying to contribute as much as I can to the open source AI community in the Swift language.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So yeah, today I also want to cover a little bit about ChatGPT has released their like advanced voice mode, but it's not released to the general public yet. And I just wanted to put this out there because Cristiano is actually doing a call. If you send him a DM on X, his name is CRISGIARDINA. I'll probably put a little link down below. You can actually set up a session with him to do a little bit of interacting with the voice, and he's going to share the video publicly. And so he's going to do that tomorrow. So if you're tuning in right now, definitely go ahead and send him a DM and reach out to him, because this is your chance to play with the GPT voice if you haven't had a chance to play around with. I have a little scenario that I sent him publicly because I want to have it behave like a British butler. I always have this fantasy of like having someone really posh and fancy kind of serving me, but with a really funny British tone, kind of, you know how like these butlers do. And growing up, I remember seeing these commercials of like, pardon me, would you lap into like some Grey Poupon? But imagine someone that's kind of chasing you around all the time and talking to you like that. It would be kind of really fun to do. So just a little side note as far as like news and things that were kind of coming up on the radar. And if you're interested in doing that, I definitely would suggest reaching out to him. And so another thing that OpenAI released was their new structured JSON mode. And so for those who are familiar with their previous model, you can tell the LLM to say, hey, produce some JSON for me when you do a query. And why this is important for app development is because in app development, when you're building your things, you want to have a structure for how your data is organized. And then people abstract that and say, okay, I'm going to have a designer work on the user interfaces, and they're going to set up a little like type of thing so that whenever the data comes in, it'll just kind of bubble up into the user interface. And that way you don't really have to worry on updating code in both places. You could just have little placeholders for things. There is one problem, unfortunately, the fact that when you do this with OpenAI, it can actually make up fields or not return the things consistently. And that was a big problem for many developers. And in fact, that many developers actually started to develop their own frameworks from the likes of Pydantic and some other things that have been mentioned to try to address this problem that LLMs spit out things and make things up or make up values or return back the things that are actually not really valid JSON. And this is now their actual attempt now to do this with their latest release with the JSON structured outputs and so forth. And a friend of the show, who we've met, his name is Simon Willison, has actually wrote a really nice blog post kind of talking about this and a little bit of kind of the history here about why this was a problem before and something that you should be paying attention to. And so I think the verdict is still yet to be out. The first like vibe check, as I understand, is that this works. It's a little bit slow, but it works. and it doesn't hallucinate like it used to. I'm not really sure as far as qualities of outputs and how that will generate for you if you're building an AI app, but it's something that you should be aware of that this is released. And if you haven't had a team or someone to chance to go check it out, I think definitely go check it out and stuff. Have you heard much buzz on your end there, Ronald, about the function, the JSON mode stuff?
No, I saw Simon's blog post as well, and that's usually like one of the more interesting like takes because he goes deep in these things. So one thing I miss, and I know this is something that you're into a lot as well, and that is the leaderboard, the Berkeley leaderboard.
Mm.
Did OpenAI share where they are on the leaderboard?
I don't see their latest model here. It just says GPT, this for the one from
Yeah,
January, and
yeah,
for this
that's the old
one,
one.
they
Yeah,
ranked
yeah.
third. There's also doesn't seem to be as up to date, despite it saying last updated July 28th. Because there was some news that a friend of ours has also talked about, Rick Lammers, over at Grok, has released and introduced their basically Llama 3 Grok tool use models. And so for those who aren't familiar with the Berkeley function calling leaderboard, basically what it is just a study of function calling capabilities across different large language models. And so like, what does that mean? So whenever you give a large language model input, like saying, hey, like, tell me the recipe for pizza, it will like generate a recipe for pizza. And so people are taking it a little bit further, saying, hey, if I ask it for what's the weather like in San Diego, can you go and talk to the API for this weather app and have it return those variables so I can fill it into my application? And so like that's kind of like function calling. It's like giving a language model almost like extended capabilities to act like a go-between to go get that information and structure it back for you. And up until very recently, there wasn't really very many there wasn't actually an official measurement for tracking how useful this is. As you can imagine, when you start to think this way, you want it to then do follow-on steps. Like once you get this API, can then you take this data and go do something else? And that's kind of what people like to do as far as chaining these types of systems together. They'll say, take this data, transform it, now get this new transformed data, and then send it out to another provider, and then have it go get some more interesting information back. And then like that's where these language models can really kind of start to take flight. And so Berkeley has created this function calling leaderboard as a way to evaluate the models. And so some of the criteria they use is that they'll call functions like accurately. So they'll say how accurately are the function calls working, and then how does it handle multiple and parallel function calls. So like whenever you have a call and then like you do another call, like I was explaining, that's kind of like the multiple. The parallel ones like, hey, go get the weather, go do this and go do that, and then how does it handle all that information? Also working with various programming languages there's quite a bit of differences there. And then there's also like how to execute real world APIs and like detect function relevance. And so a good friend of our show here, Ryan Carson. Hey, how's it going, Ryan? Great to see you. Hopefully all is going well with you and your family and your loved ones. Recently had a longtime pet of his just passed away. So my heart goes out to you and your family. I really hope that all is well. And thank you for showing up today and saying hello to the show. That really means a lot to us for you to be here. And yeah, so
Yeah,
we're.
it's interesting, right? I mean,
Mhm.
like function calling, because we think that if you use LLMs a lot, you think that they can
Yes.
do everything, that they are like they have all the knowledge like in the world, and they kind of have. But there are also things that they're still like really bad at, and one thing they're really bad at is just hey, there's Prince commenting, another friend of the show. So a lot of things that we think we you would think they were good at would be good at, they're actually really bad at. And one of the things is like structured data like JSON. Like previously it would like hallucinate fields that don't exist. It was really messy, and I think one of the first like people who tried to solve that was a student or a PhD student at Berkeley, who created Gorilla. And Gorilla was a fine tune of Llama, one of the earliest llamas, to basically like create a real, almost always like valid JSON. And we've seen like a lot, because this was like, oh my God, is this like 1 year or 2 years ago? I don't even remember. I think it's like about 1 year ago when they launched Gorilla. which is a long time for the AI world, of course. And
Like
that kind
7
of
years
started
almost, it
off.
feels like.
Yeah, it's like dog years, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. That's how we operate in
So
this world.
right. So yeah. So it's. But he not only like created the fine tune, he also created this leaderboard, like a kind of benchmark suite, and that is super useful because now we know how good these models are becoming, and it's kind of. I mean, I really am dying to know like how good the new OpenAI GPT 4.0 will work with function calling, because like their blog post promises a lot. And I haven't tried it myself yet, so I have no clue like how good it in reality is in reality. However, we do know that from Rick Lammers himself. Again, we had him on the show a few weeks ago. He introduced another fine tune of Llama 3. And the name is if can you scroll up because I can never remember the name. Yeah, Llama 3 Grok tool use. That is the
It's
name
a
of the
mouthful,
model.
yes.
It is a mouthful. So
It's on Hugging
Rick,
Face as well. Yes.
yes, yep. The cool thing is Rick ran the benchmark, the Berkeley Gorilla benchmarks, and it turns out that the new Llama 3 Grok model actually outperforms the best one in the current benchmark by quite a bit. That's Claude 3.5, right? That's
Oh,
really the best performing model.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah. So Rick's model outperforms that. However, the leaderboard has not been updated yet with Grok, nor again, as I said, with OpenAI. So we don't know exactly how that will be. But the fact is that like there's a lot going on. Like there's a lot of things moving in the right direction. A lot of tools that are getting better a lot soon. And Prince just said that he wants to use this for fast MLX, which is his kind of MLX based Olama alternative. And I'm super excited about that because like MLX is super fast, and the way that, I mean that would be awesome if you could have like function calling locally on your local models on your own machine. Yes, please. So yeah, can't wait for
Yes.
Prince to add that to fast MLX.
That'd be great. Yeah, and for those who aren't familiar with MLX, if you have an Apple computer, it basically allows you to use a lot of the resources that you could normally not really use if because you don't have like an NVIDIA GPU. And so the folks at Apple have actually open sourced this, and the team has been phenomenal at contributing and making updates to it constantly. And Prince, a friend of the show, who's also named the MLX King, is really great at converting a lot of these models to work with those platforms for the Apple platform. And he's built his own thing called Fast MLX on top of that, which can like operate even faster if you could even think about that for doing these types of tools. And so
Yep.
if you're building with any types of these things, you should definitely check them out. If you're an independent developer, if you're trying to do stuff locally, because I think they can definitely speed up some of your workflows and can maybe hand some of these things off and can work for really interesting use cases, I feel.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. And
for
it's free.
for like
That that
keeping
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
private, you own it, it's on your own machine. I think that's like really great that the models are even getting smaller and even more capable to run on your machine with like a MacBook Pro. And then you could do stuff, and there's
Yep.
just a lot of really cool stuff, and we're just super happy that people like this are able to kind of hang out with us and participate and share some of that love with the AI community and together. So this is kind of part of our show that we do. This is called the AI Tech Salon, and so we're here pretty much every week, right around noon time, and we go live and we're talking about these various topics. And today we're talking about what AI tools that you should be aware of to help you as an independent developer, and kind of going through a little bit of like what function calling is, kind of why that should be maybe something on your radar if it's not already. A little bit of updates. That's kind of what's going on, all the way from OpenAI to the open source models, and if you have an Apple computer, more specifically as well, with kind of even late breaking developments just from Prince Kanuma himself, talking about like even including that as part of in the Fast MLX framework. So that's
Yeah.
it's really
We
fun.
actually
So feel free to join.
we just
Yeah.
got actually a text message from Prince.
Yo, breaking
Live.
news. Yeah.
So function calling is already like part of FastMLX 0.2.0. So it's already like working. So the thing with the FastMLX is what was really neat is it's basically like a local web server on your computer that uses the same API as OpenAI. So you can use basically like any LLM client that is compatible with OpenAI, which is like a lot. And you can connect that to your local FastMLX server, just as you would do with Olama.
Hmm.
So that it is really neat. Oh, by the way, I am working actually on Pico, my own LLM front end, to natively support FastMLX. So if it notices that you have like FastMLX on your computer or network, then it automatically like connects to it. So that's coming to as well for Pico. So yeah, FastMLX, check it out because it's really neat. It's fast.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think that's kind of really interesting as far as like what these function capabilities can do and how critical they are for your businesses. And so they can enable LLMs to interact with your external systems. Like if you're developing AI agents, they can basically operate across different software ecosystems. And they can handle tasks that require simultaneous actions for complex workflows. And you can imagine how it could just kind of keep exploding in all these different areas. And it's definitely something that you're probably going to be hearing more of because it seems to be getting more standardized, and there's like some testing around this, and so you're hearing it here as far as like how the cutting edge is and like how that applies to business. So as we're trying to adopt it ourselves, and the community is, we want to hear your feedback as well, and all these types of interaction is extremely helpful, and so we definitely appreciate anyone who takes the opportunity to hit those little dots down below on X and then just go ahead and hit the retweet, because this gets the show out to more of your friends and people who operate like you, and maybe other people in the community that aren't aware of it, because we're kind of starting from the ground up and building our community here, and we're not famous by any means, but every little bit helps, and as far as kind of getting that out there, and if this helps you, then it may help someone else who you may know or some other person may benefit from. So we definitely appreciate that. And so another thing that we kind of wanted to move into was more about AI tools that can help you with coding. So a lot of right now in the community, I'm hearing a lot of tools like Cursor, and I'm hearing a lot of tools that people are using like Claude, and those types of things can help you with the assistance of coding. And so cursor.sh is an actual cursor.sh. Oops, not cursor.com. Oh, actually, they did buy the
I think they
domain
have
cursor.com.
actually.
Nice.
Yeah, I think they bought
Okay.
it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually, so it's an AI code editor, and what they have done is it allows you to talk to your code in your repo. So the code that you have, it'll actually start to index it and understand your code. And you can have multiple interactions with it. So you can actually have like a chat with your code, but it also has auto completion. And then it also has the ability to do like an interactive mode where you can say, okay, take my code, I'm going to build a UI element, and you just tell it to build a UI element using this, and it starts to build that and add the code into your repo for you. And then you can say, okay, now connect it to the YouTube API, and then it can go out to the internet, and you can also give it links to documentation that you have that is on the internet or your own internal documentation. It will index it and then reference those and start to build that on top of that. And so like what makes this different than the existing VS Code stuff that GitHub has, and why are other people canceling their subscriptions to VS Code, or not VS Code, to GitHub Copilot, is because it's actually that much better. They have their own fine tune for their code, and for the people that are using it, they actually find the suggestions to actually be very useful, extremely fast, and definitely worth checking out. It does cost
Actually,
a subscription.
I didn't know they had a fine tune. To be honest, I didn't know they use a fine tune model. That's interesting.
Yeah. They have their own. Well, I mean, that's kind of what I've been seeing / hearing. Officially,
Awesome.
it'd be kind of good to get like the heads up on kind of what like what is it exactly that they're doing. It does connect to other models for the chat, so you can say I want to talk to Claude Sonnet 3.5, and it does that. I want to talk to Claude Opus with a 200K context window. You can actually do that as well in the chat. You want to talk to your own custom provider, you can give it an API key for OpenAI. But when you do give it your own API key, you may actually run more than $20 a month because what it does, it's sending the embeddings, it's sending files. You start to generate lots of tokens if you're actually doing some serious like churning back and forth. I do a lot of prototyping, so then I use this thing like crazy, and I actually ended up overpaying my bill. So I was like, I'm just going to go for the $20 a month subscription. It's actually a lot cheaper.
Right.
So it's
And
on
then
them.
for $20 you get like their own fine-tuned models, access to that
Yes.
models, I assume. So that's like yeah. Two reasons to just pay the $20 to Cursor. First, you get like you pay less probably, and the second is you get access to their own fine-tuned models. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really quite cool, and I have yet to test it with Swift. I know you do some Swift development, and I think you're trying to do some experiments now on trying to figure out what that looks like. It may be a lot of headache because there's no like simulator built in. There's not a lot of other stuff, and it may take a lot of time to get that kind of going, if you know what I mean. But I hear people popping into Claude and typing in stuff and kind of making that happen and stuff. But yeah, like this is, obviously a really cool, I think they're funded as well, Cursor. I also found,
I guess,
like,
otherwise they probably wouldn't be able to buy the .com, I guess.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. From there's a Paul Graham essay where he talks about in 2015 that owning a .com is like, you shouldn't have your startup or change your name if you can't own the .com domain. So I don't know. There's something to be said there. Yeah, friend.com, 1.8 million. Yeah. to each their own.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. So we get another comment, by the way. So
yes.
There is competition to Fast MLX. And that is
this nice. I open source
Pio MLX. Yeah.
Pio MX. Oh, that's interesting.
MLX,
should I click the link or
I already did. This is a very nice icon actually.
Oh, send me the link and then I'll pull it up on my end. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, my name is Ray Fernando, and I used to be an engineer at Apple for 12 years, for those who are just joining in. And so I've worked all over the software, from like the really low levels to the very high levels, and even being behind the scenes for some of the big software announcements and stuff for like the Apple Watch. And so that's been kind of, a lot of software and things that I worked on are probably like, you use it every day and you wouldn't know it's broken until somebody tells you it's broken. And so, you don't really get all the glory until people actually complain. And that's kind of, like the typical under the hood type of things. But yeah, so now just kind of on my own exploring AI and having these conversations with you to kind of share our joy and our discoveries as we go through these things, because I want to look back as I'm older and look back and say, hey, not only did I learn a bunch of stuff, but I helped a lot of people along the way, and people who are just getting started. There's something there for you to kind of take along your journey to learn with us. So here is Pio MLX. It's Pio MLX. Okay. I want to be Olama equivalent for Apple MLX models. Let's go. Okay. This is interesting.
I'm not sure about that icon above. So is it Python like strangling the llama?
It's like they're buddies, like they're both facing the same direction. Yeah, they're like co-pilots and stuff,
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell because they're facing the same direction. They're not like angry at each other. They're like kind of going with each other. Right?
And the Python looks happy for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I got from it. And the demo it looks like this. It kind of runs. Looks like you can run you can load a model through the UI, and then you can actually type and interact with it and load models from Hugging Face as well. So if you slide that thing, it looks like you can load the model and stream in a chat. And I think it's probably using Streamlit underneath the hood, and it has a really cute interface. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is like maybe it is also like an API.
Yeah.
I don't
can
know,
we get these two to connect with Fast MLX? That'd be so cool. Yo, can you? Yeah, y'all need to talk to Prince. I think figure this out, because there's a MLX LM model too. I think there's kind of y'all are heading in the same direction. So Viz, if you have a chance, link up with Prince Kanuma. I think it'd be kind of cool to get something like this on top of Fast MLX, and then it'll just be. I mean, I feel like there's like a really good kind of merging here that could happen between you guys. That's really awesome.
I don't see any API mentioned, so. I think it doesn't. I mean, it looks like it doesn't have an API. If it does, Fizz, let us know. but yeah, super interesting. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And
That's excellent.
we're looking at a roadmap. There's roadmap.md.
Mm.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is more about caching. Excuse me, list
I'm gonna
models
star it.
and making a Mac
26
OS
stars.
app. Oh, six
Yeah.
stars? Oh
No,
no.
26. I gave it to
20,
my
20. Okay, I'm
yeah.
27.
Yes. Yeah, and for those since we're sort of on the topic of MLX, I recently created something that was really fun for those who are actually into like content creation and who are like the problem that I had is that it's really hard to get videos that like to transcribe them. And I thought, gosh, there's got to be a way to do this locally on my computer. And because I have a Mac, there's like a lot of limitations because I don't have a GPU, and to transcribe them with the Whisper model can take a very long time. And I thought, well, why not use the power of MLX and kind of built on top of that? And there is an example in the MLX repo that shows how to use it, but there's no user interface. It's literally type in a bunch of commands into the terminal, drag your video into the terminal, and hopefully the URL looks okay. You have some output, then YOLO, right? So it's like, I don't even get an SRT or like a file that I can give to YouTube to give it as part of the transcription. So I thought, let me go ahead and see if I find, there's got to be someone out there who's done this before. And it turns out that there was someone who did this, but not for Apple specific platform. And I just forked their repo and made a version and just built on top of it using the MLX APIs. And so what that allows you to do is now you can do voice transcribing just by giving it a video. And it could be like 8 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes, however long your video is. I've given it like our whole like hour-long stream. And so our hour-long stream can get transcribed in literally like a minute or so. And it not only does it transcribe it, but it puts it into like an SRT file. And you can also take the text from the transcription if you wanted to, and then pop that into an LLM and start generating blog posts and doing lots of cool stuff. So I actually did that very recently for an episode that we had last week on the show, and like literally by the time the show was done, within an hour I had the transcription up, I had a blog post ready, I had a summary, I actually had it generate timestamps for the actual stream. So now the stream has timestamps that have chapters that are related to the stream, so that way you don't have to go scrolling and hunting, or I don't have to hire someone to do that. And so you can pretty much do that all from this free tool that you can just download that I made. It's called Apple MLX Subtitle. I'll link this. This is a very long, wordy thing. So, but basically you can generate transcripts here, and I think you'd be able to kind of get that here for us. Where do you find the latest updates on MLX models? Is there a directory or a database that you like?
That's a really
Yes.
good question.
Yes.
Yes,
So
there is.
yes. Apple has, if you just type in into Google, I just type in Apple MLX. They have they're on a Hugging Face, actually. Hugging Face Apple MLX. If you just type this into Google, it says using MLX at Hugging Face. You click the first one.
I think that
and
the link is,
oops.
the question is blocking the link.
Oh, of course,
yeah,
yes.
It's Hugging Face / I think MLX-Explorer.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So they have a models hub, and the models are actually listed on the filters for MLX, and so they have like the whole community. And within the MLX community here, they actually have, let's see, there's that I saw.
And Ray, are you back?
Looks like my camera freaked out. I think I should be here. Hold on.
Okay, we can hear you, but your video is frozen.
Yeah,
Your
that happens.
Shot is live, it seems still. Okay.
Yeah. So you can hear me. Yeah. Yeah, my camera does this sometimes. I got to update the firmware and see what's going on because like I'm kind of talking now through my AirPods. So I here. Yes. Cool. Awesome.
Okay,
you can probably hear me now. Okay, we're good.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Apologies for that.
This is like probably the place where you want to find your models, just on Hugging Face. All the MLX models are there. Besides that, you definitely want to follow Prince.
Yes.
And on Twitter, because he will tell you what he's working on, what will come soon. And Prince Kanuma.
There's a reason why he's the MLX king, is because he drops models. Yeah, like constantly, and he's constantly dropping like updates on what's going on as far as like the latest models, things that have already been converted to be usable for MLX, and all that stuff. So hello from our friends on Twitch. Hi, thanks for joining in. This is cool. You're kind of joining into our AI Tech Salon show, and today we're talking about kind of useful tools in AI that could be helpful for you as independent developers, and also kind of going into the last part about code generation. And we just recently talked about Cursor, but also getting into Apple MLX, and some people have Apple devices and they want to start using them for development, or they are using them for development but may not completely be aware of like the actual Apple MLX community, since this is still very, very new. I mean, this is sometimes it feels like it's been out forever, but it's like you look back, it's like not even a year, and so much has happened. And it will constantly be that way, and it's sort of the reason why we created this show, is to kind of, for ourselves to stay up to date, but also to share what we learned, and like, share other things in the community that people are working on. Prince is a great person to connect with. Auni is another person. He's the person who works at Apple, who's doing machine learning research, who worked on a lot of the frameworks for the Apple MLX stuff. To be fair, 6 months is still some time. Yes, I definitely think about the AI stuff where 1 year feels like 7 years, like literally dog years. It's just kind of how fast these things move. And yeah, so that means I'm going to be retired in the next like 5 years, right? So so that's the way that we move here. So yeah, thank you for joining us. And I think one of the other things that we were talking about was maybe besides that, there's like if you aren't into like paying for the subscription, $20 a month, or even if you were to use the free part of Cursor, but maybe wanted to try something a little bit different, I just found out about this and I haven't tried it out, and I thought I would just put this out there for you to try out. Maybe next week you can kind of let us know how this goes. But it's called Claude Dev, CLAUDEDEV. And what it is that this is a VS Code plugin that can go into your VS Code, and it has very similar features to what I was explaining for Cursor. So it has its own chat, but not only has its own chat, it has its own agentic workflow, and that means that you can tell it, I want to generate X, and it actually generates the code for you in the chat, but it doesn't insert it yet. It asks you, do you want to put it into the actual workspace? And this is, I was thinking more of, and so you can have this like turn-by-turn iteration. So the cool thing is that you basically give it your API key for Claude or any other LLM, and it will do that. And you can also do a self-hosted version. So if you have a self-hosted thing that's running in the background like FastMLX, connect this to one of those code models, and then you can now have your own thing that's running completely, you don't pay for it. So you could be on a plane with no internet connection and just using Claude Dev as your plugin and literally just iterating super quickly back and forth, almost like you have your own version of Cursor that's running. So this is something that I'm going to be checking out this next week, and we'll be reporting back to you. But I just wanted to give you a heads up in case you wanted to play with it this weekend, or anyone else on the community. And if you had a chance to play with it, I would like to find out, because I just recently found out about this. This was released on 7.10 and was just last updated basically yesterday. And so this is interesting. It's really interesting. I think there's a repo here as well from Claude-Dev. If you look on GitHub, you'll be able to find it. So the autonomous automation software engineer writing your IDE capable of editing files. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of what's been going on in the neighborhood for the last week or so. We've basically have been dealing with a little bit of function calling that could be very useful for you. We also kind of went over earlier, if you were with us, Cristiano is actually hosting advanced voice mode. So if you have a chance, reach out to him and send him a DM. You can actually schedule an appointment to do a video call with him and interact with the latest OpenAI voice model. And in the latest AI voice model, is really funny and has all these characteristics that people are talking about. It's not yet publicly available, but he's doing this so that he wants to record some content and record you, and you can do some stuff with it. And I thought it'd be really interesting.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of the confusing part, right? Like ChatGPT had a voice function, like a voice feature for very long. They introduced this new voice feature at their like keynote that a few months ago. However, nobody had access to it, so people tried to play with it, like with the ChatGPT app. But still, we're using the old version of the voice mode instead of like the new version, which I think confused a lot of people. And they're finally rolling out like new voice function That was announced like months ago. So yeah, super excited about that. Super excited.
Yeah, and then we talked about the Berkeley function calling leaderboard and how that's now being tracked as a way to keep track of these types of things. So we're anxious to see what OpenAI is where they're gonna rank, and then also see the updates and see how Grok's Llama models are actually going to be ranking up there. I mean, according to the data that Grok has released, it looks like it's quite up there. So I'm really happy that everyone's pushing the edges here, and it's something that you should definitely be aware of. And then we got into talking about Apple MLX in the community here. Prince Kanuma shared this link where you can actually find the models for Apple MLX. So this is the actual Hugging Face repo for the MLX community. And you can use these things, and they have the models organized into different collections. So they'll have the Google Gemma models that are converted for Apple's MLX platform, Mistral, Code Gemma, Phi 3, Llama, Whisper, and so forth. And you can go from here and build, tools on top of them and do really cool stuff. And we talked a little bit about Cursor, and so how Cursor is like this experience as an AI code editor right into a VS Code fork. They have their own, it's called Cursor, and how you can do a lot of this automated types of actions. And these are the kind of things that are on the radar that I feel like could be very helpful for you as an independent developer. And if you have anything else that you would like to call out, definitely hit us up. Send us a DM. You can find me on X at Ray Fernando 1337. And there is my handle, and I have my DMs open at Ray Fernando 1337. And then you can also find Ronald down below. You can see that's at Ronald Mannak. Ronald and Mannak. And send them a DM. And yeah, we'd love to talk with you. And we want to find out more of like what's useful for you. Like, have you tried some of this stuff? Has it worked out for you? Is it not? Is it all hype? Well, like, that's kind of what we're aiming for. And so we have a show every week. We're here on Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time, and it has a lot of different time zones. We're all across the board, and yeah, definitely come join us and stuff. Anything else that's on your mind, or anything that's going on with you, Ronald?
No, I think the one thing that we haven't discussed, because I'm not sure if they even launched it, and that's the Xcode assistant that should help you writing
Yes.
Swift code. But I haven't updated that to the new betas, macOS beta, so I'm not sure. Sorry, my dog is digging here. I'm not sure if you hear that the sound here.
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
It's okay. My audio is a little funny because I'm like literally in a booth, with this fan that's going, so I don't like drown in my own carbon monoxide or something. So yeah. Great. I'm so glad.
Billy says it's not great. Okay.
So yeah, Billy has been. If you haven't been following Billy, I think it's what's his handle? Vabrinskas, Vabrin. He's been telling the tale of how painful it has been on going online to use the latest versions of Xcode. He's quoted here as being the Andre Carpathe of Swift, and has wrote his own like neural network thing called Neuron, and using Swift, and has taken the painstaking time to do these things by hand to learn, but also to share back with the community, and is right now delving in deeply with the latest versions of Xcode. And it's he says he's been trying to use the AI capabilities that have been built into Xcode, and he says it's really, really slow. So I hope that that can change, and it wouldn't surprise me if they Apple will keep iterating on that. Everything that he's been sharing has been kind of a little bit painful as far as trying to use and this is the neural network, the Swift neural network library that he's authored, and definitely a must follow if you're into like AI development and like on-device stuff. WVABRINSKAS is the place to be. So I would just love to have Billy on the show and have him talk about Xcode setup. I think there is a whole magic on setting up your Xcode environments just for testing and like developing and then just deploying, because he has to hop between all these versions of Xcode. And to do this is not like, it's kind of magical if you could figure it out. And he's figured out a way to do this programmatically so well, to have even stuff built on the cloud for you and like do all these types of things, that was just blowing my mind. I was like, damn, that's awesome. And so I would love, Billy, if you're around, I'd love to do an episode with you where you come back where we just do like a breakdown on how do you set up your Xcode environment to like really take advantage of this? Because I feel like you have a lot of really good untapped knowledge that needs to be kind of shared out there with you. And he has like different experiences building with the app because yeah, more than happy to. He's a very experienced engineer currently working at Uber and as development of Huddle and so forth. So must follow if you're into that type of thing. So definitely appreciate it. And yeah, I'm really curious too about how the AI features are going to really pan out for Apple there, Ronald.
Yep. Yep.
From what our friends here of the show are saying, it's a little bit painful. And how is that going to progress? I imagine. I don't know. One thing I'm very hopeful for is seeing how fast these models have been improving over a period of time. That's all we have, right? Looking back, these models have all improved very quickly with the data that's public, and Apple has had some really interesting breakthroughs in using their own Apple Intelligence models, how they're able to get it so small but able to comply so well. And one of the keys that they talked about in their papers were how good they are at like pruning the data to make sure that the data is very clean as possible, and how that translates to a really good model on the other end, especially for a very task-specific type of thing. Yeah. So while it may be slow now, it could be other factors that could be at play, and hopefully, they kind of start coming into the Claude Sonnet range as far as like capability and the way that people are talking so highly about Claude Sonnet helping them with code. It really, really feels like an unlock of productivity, like to a whole nother level where like anything that I had a thought about, like, oh, it'd be so cool to set up a server to do some type of testing for this. Oh, let me just talk to an LLM for 5 minutes and get the code for that and actually do it. Oh, it'd be so cool if I had something that analyzed these YouTube videos and do this thing and these transcripts to generate blog posts. Wait, that's a 10-minute conversation or less with Claude Sonnet 3.5. And to be able to do that with code, with like Apple's platforms and like unlocking all the magic on the device, there's so much richness that you can do on a device, from animations to taking advantage of different sensors, and combining that with the capabilities of AI to make apps will be mind-blowing. And I'm hopeful that they can sort of unlock something there for the rest of the community, because that's sort of an untapped potential. And I definitely encourage you, even if it doesn't work, to go play around and play. Take some time out of your day, even if it's like one day out of the week, to do some exploring. And even if it's half a day or even a couple hours, it's just really important to kind of get a feeler of what's out there. And it's sort of the reason why we started this show, is to take that time out of our week to play around with these types of models, new things, report back, tell you what we're excited about, what doesn't work, and kind of keep that going for you, for us, for everyone. So yeah, that's kind of my take. But and I imagine you haven't played around with that model yet, Ronald, for the Apple Intelligence.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. I have. So this is actually the first year that I haven't used any of the betas, not for iOS, not for macOS, because I'm kind of heads down developing. So I'm eager to try it out once they get a little bit more stable. But yeah, Billy's comments that it's not that great is not. Yeah, well, we'll see how fast they can improve. Hopefully they will, because I mean, if this works, it's huge. It's a huge time saver, of course.
Yeah, that's all the stuff that I saw on my plate and stuff. And thank you for bringing up that AI thing for the Apple Intelligence. I kind of forget sometimes. Yeah, that's right. Apple's doing stuff with Apple Intelligence. It's on device, and it's sort of coming. It's on its way. Yes, that's cool. Anything else that's on your plate that you've been seeing at all?
Can't think of anything.
Cool. Yeah, so if you haven't had a chance to, definitely go check out Ronald Mannak on X, on YouTube, with the handle down there below, at Ronald Mannak, at Ray Fernando 1337, and take some time to go play around with his app called Pico GPT on the App Store. We're not sponsored, but we make these things, and might as well share them out with the world. And check out some of the stuff that I've posted on Twitter as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't had a chance to, at Ray Fernando 1337. And it looks like Billy has also said, I also use Cursor to write metal shaders for me using Claude 3.5. What? Oh, that's such a good idea. So, oh man, I want to use that to do a lot of animations. There was a lot of metal that was written for like a lot of these types of faces and like cool animation stuff that a lot of people don't know about. So I think you should. That's a really good use case to do that for to just like if pop Claude Sonnet or on the website or even just in Cursor, to do that. That's a really great idea. I think the advantage of using Cursor is the fact that it indexes your entire repo, so you can have additional context that gets pulled in, and you can do like at the file name, and then that pulls in that file into context. If you have an output that's debugging in your terminal that's failing to compile, you can pop that into the Cursor chat and say, help fix this bug, and then at any files. You don't even need to add the file. You can just say, talk to the entire code repo, and it'll grab the code repo for you. It'll read through the logs and try to like debug it for you. It's so handy. I can't tell you how many times I've done that to fix so many build errors. Especially with like Node and things that I'm not too familiar with. So it's like, oh, okay, yes, this is very handy. So yeah, it makes for spinning up apps to be really great in here. So I think with that said, it's a good way to wrap up the show. If you're looking for us, you can find us here every Friday, right around noon Pacific Standard Time. And we're here to talk about AI tech, the latest things that are happening, tools and stuff that could be useful for you. We're two basically independent developers and have a love for AI and all the things that are happening in this space, and just really excited to share with you. And so, with that said, we'll see y'all next week, everyone.
Thanks for joining.